You're watching the Tesla Live with your host, Mark Coughlin. Okay, I managed not to cough and disrupt the start of the show this time. But you might notice there's only two people on screen. Mark's not here yet. So let's start with some intros. And how's it going, our Mr. Co-host, Casey Green?
It's going pretty well. I was expecting a stutter step holiday for some reason, so I wasn't ready for the 3-day. This is going to be fun.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. With being, I'm going to turn off my fan here. Too loud. It's a lot of background noise. Yeah. Now that I'm retired, it's like 2-day, 3-day, 4-day. It's all week. It's lovely. I love it. Yes, good times.
I was going to ask you about how that works. I'll talk to you about that.
Right. It's wonderful. If you can afford to, yeah, everybody should do this. We're waiting for Mark. So here it's been warm. Getting lots of nice sunshine. The kilowatt hours are raining down. One of the apps that I use to manage my Tesla batteries is called Net Zero, and cool. it has some really nice automation. They make it so easy to do whether or not you allow grid charging and what percentage of backup reserve you want, and you can change it. Like, for example, on the weekend, our price of electricity drops, and so I want to use the grid rather than the batteries. So, but I also don't want to just charge the batteries from the grid. I'd rather let them charge from solar. So I do this thing where I incrementally move up the reserve. And one of the cool features it has that I wish the Tesla app had was it has what's called preserve charge, where you can just say whatever the current value is, don't go below that. And so if you do that like every hour, it just incrementally charges up your battery from sunshine. Yeah, it's a pretty cool feature, but they're going to a subscription. It was free, and I understand that they've put a lot of time and effort, and they run servers for the automation. They've got to get paid. So I'm deciding whether or not they'll still have a free version of the app, but it won't have all these cool automated features that I've been using. So just like I pay for Teslafy, whatever it is, $12 a month or $100 a year, I'm probably going to start doing that for Net Zero as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you use Net Zero, drop a comment, and what do you think about them going to a subscription versus it's been free? Let us know. So Mark's still not here. Well, I guess should we move on to our first? Oh, there he is. Yes. All right. Mark is here. Hey, Mark.
Sorry about that.
No.
Ran into a little traffic difficulty.
Okay.
Well,
so, we just finished our intros, so you're welcome to take it over from here.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm going to be passing it over to Patrick anyways for our first story, which of course is the lead story today. And Patrick, go ahead.
That's right. So Tesla has released their production and delivery results for Q2. And this is always an exciting part of the year. Let me just jump right into it. Per their report, they have delivered 384,000 vehicles in the second quarter of this year, and they've deployed 9.6 gigawatt hours of energy storage. So vehicle production reached 410,244 units. So that's another 400,000 vehicles without tailpipes. That's awesome. This is very similar to Q2 of last year, where they produced 410,831. So given that Q1 of this year was below last year, I'm happy to see a quarter that's flat year over year. That's great. As usual, the Model 3 and Y, mostly Model Y, dominate the vehicle production. And let's see, about 397,000 of those were 3 and Y units. 13,409 were attributed to other models, which includes the Cybertruck, S and X. As well as I think the semis rolled into that. So one of the big highlights, I touched on it a little bit here, was that 9.6 gigawatt hours of energy storage. That's is it Tesla's highest to date or one of their highest? The article said one of the highest. But anyway, that's incredible. We've talked about how great it is to have energy storage on the grid, how it can smooth out the rough spots that you get from renewables, and how it can make up so that you don't have to fire up peaker plants, which are by far the most polluting things on the grid. So that is great to see. Storage solves so many problems because the grid has to be real time, which means you have to be producing at whatever you think the worst case is going to be. And it's, it's like mall parking lots have to account for whatever the busy shopping day of the year, and the rest of the time they have this surplus. So what does that mean for our little estimation game that we play on this show? So the first half so far, they've produced 773,000 vehicles, and that trails last year's 844,000. And will they rally in the second half? We have not seen the unveiling of Redwood, or the Model 2, or as I prefer to call it, the Model Next. So we've also talked about how Tesla should not unveil that until the last possible moment, because they don't want to Osborne themselves. If they come out and say, hey, this is going to be $5,000-$10,000 cheaper than our current cars, a lot of people are going to not buy the new cars.
Or they'll wait.
Yeah, they'll wait. Exactly. They'll wait until that new one's available. And there could be quite a backlog for it. So, I mean, we waited quite a while for our Model 3s. And if that means they put off a Tesla purchase for 2 years or so, that would be, horrible. And instead, let's not unveil that. Let's wait until production is started before we even announce it. And then when you get orders, you can start delivering them immediately. So it's not surprising that they had said they've been so on again, off again about this Redwood vehicle. And it was supposed to be in June that it was unveiled. And now, like I just said, we haven't seen it, which I was surprised they even said they would announce it in June, because we've heard Musk say, no, Cybercab is what we're going to focus on. We're not going to do a lower cost vehicle. If you have a Cybercab out there, there's no need for that, which I see his logic, but I also disagree with it, because how fast can they scale to multiple cities, right? That is still yet to be seen. And even if they do, that doesn't mean that there isn't somebody that isn't in a service area that would like to buy the Model Next. So I'm hoping to see that in the second half of this year. I'm hoping that really boosts their numbers. It'd be nice if they're working on production now in secret and calling it, Cybercab lines or whatever else, getting parts through suppliers that way, so it doesn't look like they're doing this. But so for our game, it looks like 2 million is off the table for this year, and we'll see.
Yeah, 2 million's been off the table now for a couple of years, hasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Sadly, Casey and I remember we were discussing on this show whether Tesla was going to get to 20 million or 12 million, and we can't even get to 2 million.
A little speed bump there.
Yes, we've hit a speed bump.
If the bots come in legions, I would probably say that we could count some of them. So with this, I didn't catch the news because it happened during the workday and it was busy. And I happened to broadcast the day before. But the narrative, as usual, was cars this, cars that. Yes. So I was like, well, let me just wait, and then Patrick can tell me. And he did. But what about? It sounds like if they're accurate and not like changing it up like they sometimes do, sounds like the Model Y gave up the number one spot, at least for this quarter, to the RAV4. What's the deal with that?
Yes, that is one of the articles I saw, and I did not go into that and look at Toyota's numbers in detail, so I can't respond to that one directly, other than to say there is some reporting that says that, and Toyota
which wouldn't be really surprising. Based on we have seen again, Q1 was underperforming, Q2 is now flat or a little bit underperforming. So yeah, the Model Y was not leading the world by a huge margin. So if they've shrunk in 2 quarters, you know, I'm sure others have shrunk as well, just not as much as what Tesla has in the past 2 quarters.
Right, and Toyota produces tens of millions of vehicles per year. They haven't spread out over a lot more models, so it wouldn't be surprising if they have a spike one quarter in one of their vehicles, like the RAV4, and it takes the crown, which is one of the reasons Tesla needs to keep growing to 10 million vehicles.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that it wasn't just another flip-flop back to the F-150. Like, as long as they've been running it, you'd expect that they would be the ones to snatch it back, and they didn't.
Yeah, I guess it depends on if you're looking at U.S. sales, where trucks dominate, or global sales.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, like, how they broke it down to say that Model Y wasn't. Like you said, it was a little bit softer for 2 quarters in a row, so they would have to have been far ahead for it to hold it and be soft. And then congratulations to Lee. Got another one of those Q2 delivery numbers.
Oh yeah, look at Lee helping boost the numbers. Well done, sir.
It'll be interesting to see if Tesla rallies in the 3rd or 4th quarter. If they're
Q4 is their traditionally big quarter.
Now, of course, last year to date, Q3 and Q4 were higher numbers too.
Yes,
because Tesla typically ends with a bang in quarter 3, quarter 4. So they're going to be chasing higher numbers in the next 2 quarters anyways. But it'll be interesting to see if they can recoup some of it. I know that sales here in Canada have dropped off a cliff because of the 25% tariff that has been placed on strictly U.S. cars crossing the border, a retaliatory tariff based on Canadians getting charged a 25% tariff on many goods. So,
and incentives going away, right?
Correct.
Yes, I mean, that's 2 things that are really going to hammer sales hard.
So sales have really dropped off the cliff here. In fact, we're hearing numbers like 70 to 80% drop.
Good gracious.
So it's really been bad, and of course it has hit all the EV manufacturers because the incentive has disappeared as well for the federal and in some cases provincial incentives have been reduced or removed. So we do have that issue going on here. There is talk again of the federal government restarting the program, but at this point it doesn't look hopeful in the next couple months. So we'll have to see. Now, Canada doesn't really move the needle a whole lot for Tesla, but obviously they would like to see more sales than what they're getting.
Well, as soon as it's the 51st state, all those tariffs will go away.
Oh my gosh.
Hockey Day is going to smack me if I keep talking like that.
I am not going down that road with Patrick on the show today. No, sir.
Well, you should mention that because I just spent a lot more of Sunday's show talking about politics than I intended to. I was trying to talk about coal plants and ended up Elon had posted somebody who said something about power, and one of the things we got into was the as Patrick had mentioned here with the energy, you can use it as a buffer. And one of the people in the rabbit hole pointed out that with said buffer, you don't need to have a concept of base load. You just have to do the real-time reactiveness or have a lot of distributed batteries that are ready to jump on.
Exactly. Yeah, you can have a volatile energy system for demand and supply as long as you have a nice buffer in the middle, 10 hours or so, and you can really adjust things.
Exactly. And Digital Blade has put a little comment in about Canada freezing another $43 million in rebate payments to Tesla as they continue to investigate how many rebates were charged by Tesla in a short amount of time. That's still being reviewed. And of course, they're out of the rebate program, which doesn't exist anymore anyways at this point. So it doesn't really matter. I think Elon kind of shot himself in the foot when he claimed that Canada is not a real country. That really resonated here, and a lot of people are throwing that comment around and have been for the past few months. Even though Elon deleted the tweet after he placed it, there's enough people watching his account and taking snapshots that everybody knows it actually happened.
Right.
Like saying something bad about world football. Don't do it.
Right, but even if he does spout off and say that stuff, that doesn't mean that Tesla should have extra scrutiny, or that doesn't mean they were committing fraud, or it doesn't mean that you should intentionally hold up these if they were really valid applications for this rebate.
Well, again, the rebate is being examined, and it was before Elon's comment as well. It's just that Elon's comment, added a little more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, he does have foot and mouth disease. I can't argue with that.
Many decades now.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't seem to be going away. That's the thing.
No, yeah, he's a carrier. he can't.
He's patient one and can't shake it.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's look at some other stuff then. There was another milestone that happened just this week, and this one was for the Gigafactory that isn't talked about too much. And that, of course, is Giga New York, or as I like to call it, Giga Buffalo, because it's so close to where I am. And they were able to hit a new milestone of 25,000 Supercharger V4s produced. So
awesome.
25,000 stalls actually produced at Giga Buffalo over this past little while. And when you think of it, it wasn't a long time ago that the V4s were actually introduced. When we asked Patrick to go to Wilsonville to check out one of the first V4s that were installed. So that was like just less than a year? No, maybe a year.
Last summer, maybe.
Yeah.
So now, if only we could get what Tesla calls these long cable chargers. If we could get one that's V4 native. MrSupercharger.com would like that. Not that I drive.
I have to say that when you asked me to go try that, I did not get a great result. It actually did not charge very quickly. But then this winter, I went to a different one. Oh yeah, it did work, but I mean, it was not any faster than the
very first day it hadn't been commissioned, right?
That might be why it was slow. I don't know why it was. It might have been that it had not been approved for higher rates. But then I used one in Bend, Oregon, and it was incredible. I was charging it over 1,000 miles an hour in my Model Y, so that was awesome to see. It's like, oh, okay, good. They're not all like that slow one that I don't. And I'm sure that, like you said, Casey, maybe the one in Wilsonville now is much faster.
Hopefully.
And then there was the discussion that just an add to this story is that the actual real V4s, the ones that are going to be higher charge, apparently the first one is due to be installed sometime in Q3. So,
that is really late.
Yeah.
Even for Tesla.
So sometime in Q3, it should be installed somewhere in North America, most likely the United States.
It was due 3 days ago.
Can you fill me in here? What's different about this one?
So the V4 native is where you've got the V4 equipment, not just the V4 dispenser. And so we can charge at 1.2 megawatts. And not that you can get all of that unless you're driving a Tesla Semi.
Sure.
But you can have they're eight bays native instead of 4, which is up from 2, and you get the ability for not having to worry about any random amount of cars just showing up at any one time, except for maybe like the Cybertruck Club all showing up on EE at once. Mm-hmm. And then you've got they dropped the DC sharing bus because they don't need it. Those are the highlights on that one.
Okay, cool.
And there's going to be
it's also the mega charger.
Right. So they'll be able now. The Cybertruck will be able to charge faster theoretically at that particular charger compared to the others. Yeah, but everybody else is going to be limited by the car software saying, you know what, you're a Model Y, you're only going to get up to this.
Yeah, and it's not really the software. It's they don't want to turn your charge, the conduit between your charge port and your battery into a fuse. That would be a really bad day if you melt that. So the Cybertrucks at first will be able to do 500 kilowatts on the V4 native stations, but I have a feeling that, as typical, they're gonna unlock a little bit more than that in the end. But they're only 500 kilowatts right now.
Right.
That makes sense. Roll it out slowly. Get
it's
some
coming,
data.
and of course, it's good to see that Giga Buffalo got in the news. Anyways, it's kind of the ugly stepchild of Superchargers of Gigafactories. It doesn't get all that much news because it's not producing, any
of the end consumer.
Anything consumer related. Yeah.
The solar roof tiles are made there, right?
Yeah, but you don't take it home; it just sits on the roof.
Yeah.
So every Supercharger dispenser is made there, and the solar tiles. But it took them a minute to figure out what they were going to do with the place, and then they got a large data center there as well for training, not for grok, but for dojo basically, and the mothership probably has a serious footprint there as well, not just in Fremont. So that's pretty cool to see.
Didn't Musk just tweet something about the U.S. needs a solar gigafactory?
He did.
And like, what Buffalo? Hello,
hello.
It used to be Solar City, right? Come on.
Supposed to be. That's why they got it. So if they, unless maybe he was like kind of like testing the water or something. But that was one thing that we also touched on, was that a bunch of people were complaining that that China's running away with solar. It's like, well, if we'd stop, building up our solar crew and then like old yellering it, maybe we could get something out of it. And
yeah,
as you pointed out, that's the perfect spot to do it since it was already built for it.
Lee Moon commented that a new Buc-ee's just opened up close to him yesterday, but no EV chargers there yet. And that's right, Lee. There are a number of Buc-ee's that do have Tesla superchargers, but not all of them get them. And I don't know the reason. Well, obviously, it's probably Tesla looking for ideal locations for their chargers and distance between present chargers and things of that nature. So there are sometimes Buc-ee's placed in an area that's supercharger rich, or is just not on the path that Tesla wants them to be. So some don't get them, but some do. And I've been to the Buc-ee's website, and you can actually look at all the Buc-ee's that have superchargers. They have like a grid pattern checkoff box, so you can see which ones have them, which ones don't.
Like who's got diesel, who's got gas.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool. I suspect also, don't forget, we're in a shortage of transformers, and so like you said, if it's not the perfect spot, then they probably take a pass on installing that particular location. I'm sure that like Wawa and Royal Farms and Sheetz, that they would probably take every supercharger they can get, because you've got a customer stuck where they're going to have to use your restroom, and then they're going to want to, look at all this hot, ready-to-eat food. Let me get this. And then Buc-ee's has got like not just that, so it's like, oh wow, Elon just forgot in my pocket because I've been perusing the shops.
Exactly. Yeah. So it is something that probably is location based, where it is and what's on the route. But over time, more and more are coming. So, which is great. And of course, let's move on to the next story. And this one, I thought maybe Patrick would have some interest, certainly Casey as well. But this is Green the Only was able to spot some code about grok coming to the mobile car. So somehow there's going to be the grok assistant rolled into the car software so that you can talk to it, similar to how you're talking to the car now with giving it commands. But now you're going to be able to ask a whole repertoire of questions, and ones that aren't scripted. Ones, open charge port door is a common one. But now you're going to be able to ask a question that's not scripted, and Grok, of course, will look for the answer and most likely display on the screen and read it to you audibly. But Green the Only has found some code that's been uploaded, still hidden at this point from the end user. But this is going to be interesting. Do you guys use Grok yourselves on X or anywhere else?
Yeah, occasionally.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Actually, I've been really impressed with Grok. You can ask complicated questions, and it has great comprehension. It does not do very good with images yet compared to OpenAI, ChatGPT, in my opinion. But and I've used both to try to generate images for the blog, and OpenAI seems to do that part better. But the conversation side of it, I think Grok is a little better. So here's one thing that I think will be really cool. When, say, you're driving and you want to stop somewhere, and if you have Grok integrated into your car, it knows your route, it knows where you're going, it knows your state of charge, it knows whether or not you need to charge, and then you can say, I want to stop for whatever, Thai food or Mexican food or whatever along this route, and you can have a discussion with it about, are they veggie friendly, or what are their Google ratings or whatever. Where right now, to do that, you either have to have your passenger do it or just stop somewhere you already know. But instead, if you have a smart assistant built into the vehicle, and that's just one example, that there's going to be hundreds like that.
Yeah. This one also is allegedly coming to all cars, although when you test the integrations that are already there, you can say stuff to your car like "Good morning" or "Hello," and it will respond back. But not if you have a legacy car or a really legacy car.
Define legacy.
So mine, MCU1, Intel, Hardware 3, I say good morning, it says command not understood, or hello, and there's nothing. Whereas the ones that are further ahead on this, they say like good morning, or they acknowledge it in some way. But from my understanding is even the 2012 Model S is going to be getting this, because what they're going to be doing, and without the MCU2 upgrade, they're going to be doing is just replacing the voice recognition module with Grok, at least for the ones that have the server connection. Whereas you have much more limited commands you have when you're offline. I have a feeling that engine will probably stay put.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Use the cloud when you have to, but you're not always going to have connectivity. Maybe you're in a tunnel or a mountain area or whatever, and so you have to have something. You can't just have it not work. You have to have some level of functionality even without connectivity.
Oftentimes,
some's going to be native to the car itself, and then some will have to use the internet connection to go further to connect to the servers. But yeah, you wouldn't want to be in a cellular poor area and find out that you can't unlock your glove box or something, something you currently can do today with a voice command.
Yes.
Right. Anything that works today with no signal, I expect will continue to work today in the future with no signal. But maybe more. Like if they can, at least for MCU2, if they can get Grok into that, like this is like the recognition engine,
right?
That would be phenomenal. I don't know if it will fit in MCU1 because that thing has been overextended.
Yeah.
It was only when using it, so.
It's amazing how Green the Only just constantly combs the code that's being uploaded and sees this stuff hanging out in the background and remmed out or whatever, however it's blocked. But man, he gets a lot of interesting information nuggets throughout the years, for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm surprised the amount of people who come to the conclusion that he doesn't like the cars. I'm like, how can you? How does that behavior indicate somebody who doesn't want them to succeed?
Yeah, obsessively looking at code is not something you do because you hate it.
He might not like the options they give him, but he definitely wants them to come out with something that's tailor-made to him. So maybe this is just his way of, hey, is it now the time to buy? I don't know.
Yeah,
I would never conclude that he doesn't like the products at all. It's a weird conclusion.
Exactly. Next, wanted to touch upon a new opening for the Vegas Loop. An extension has opened between the Las Vegas Convention Center and the Encore or Encore by Wynn, which is basically Encore. Wynn bought the property at one point. Now they have their name on it too. So the Encore location. And I think we've got a quick video that we can share.
Sweet.
And we can see the run. So let's do that.
I'm still hearing a lot of just poo-pooing on the loop. I can't wait till it's got a more extensive footprint outside of the convention center. So.
Yeah, just make it
so that folks can give it a true shake.
We'll give it a.
Is that coming in from the surface?
Yes. So you can see this is at the Encore location. And you can see that it does come up to the surface, and then it goes into this bunker-like painted earth tone, by the way, to kind of blend in with the trail that's right beside it, it appears. So let's jump into it. And it zips through it. The other ones don't, I believe, have a double neon light at the top.
No, they have a single or down on the sides. Yeah.
So
it looks like they made the Rainbow Road feature real.
Right. And
is that double speed?
There seems to be a lot more. No, it's just sped up. Yes.
What? Okay.
Yeah. And then it pops out at the convention center.
Yeah. Maybe they'll use it for like indications or something like.
Notice the light as they approach is green. It appears there.
Mm-hmm.
And then as they get through part of the tunnel, which seems to be a lot of twisting in this particular tunnel, there's another green light here. And then I think I see a red light at the end. I might be mistaken, but now it's coming to the end. It's going to start climbing. It looks kind of red.
Yeah, it does.
But yet it pops out. There's no other car.
It didn't stop for that red light.
It didn't stop for that at all.
Yeah, that's not what it means, I guess.
No, maybe it means that you need to be cautious now because you're coming out into regular traffic or semi-regular traffic again. And the green lights are indicating that you're clear to go all the way to the next light as normal.
I wonder if this is this the bidirectional tunnel or no?
That is a good question, Casey. There was a bi-directional tunnel that was being built.
Yeah, there's one open. It was a little segment, but I don't know if this is also bi-directional.
Why would you do bi-directional? I guess if it's really low utilization.
Yeah, it would have to be very low use.
Mm-hmm. You can open now and then keep going, versus having to do them both now at one time.
True. You can obviously get it done a little quicker because you're not doing two at the same time, but it's got to be a major pain in the butt having because of course there's a difference of people showing up to the resort or whatever the destination is compared to when they're leaving, right? There are busy periods, typically, for example, starting Friday afternoon. A lot of people start to arrive for the weekend, and then they're all shipping out on Sunday. So I would think that, and again, they could make the bi-directional, more useful for departures or people coming in based on what they see the issue is at that time.
Yeah, right. And they're going to have people using the app. They'll know what the demands are, and they could change it at that time. Like a convention, you're going to have a lot of people filing in the morning and then a lot of people leaving in the evening. So if you have a tunnel that you could change based on that. Military bases often have a center lane that in the morning is dedicated to incoming and in the evening is dedicated to people leaving. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Also, you've got once the network fills out, you can just do a loop. So you might not need the return tunnel in that particular segment, especially if, like you mentioned, it's lower volume, like to a particular hotel or destination. You can get it all from one direction once it's complete.
And if I'm not mistaken, the screen appears to be showing advertisements.
Oh.
There is a let's see if I can pause it when it comes.
Oh, the boring tab.
Right there. There's a lunch menu that has appeared on the screen showing different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different dishes.
Nice.
That's
So
cool. If it knows where you're going, yeah, you might as well.
If it knows, that could be a great little perk for the station, because it knows what resort you're heading to or what area you're heading to, and it can start to send you some relevant advertising based on what you're going to be walking into.
Yeah. So now that the cars are doing their thing in Texas,
yep.
When do we think that boring will get access to FSD unsupervised?
Good question again, because on this show several times we have said, is that where FSD will start? Because it's a lot less intense. There's less that can happen.
Right. And I think that the folks at Tesla came to the conclusion that the boring tunnel is not their priority, and it's different from the real world. I mean, it's obviously real, but it's not like dealing with traffic and pedestrians in the same way. So I think that they're going to have at least their second city with I almost said cybercab, with robo-taxi service. It would only be after the second city. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Or maybe if the city is Vegas.
Oh, yeah. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Pick you up at the airport and then actually dump you off in your hotel.
Oh yeah, to have a that would be so cool, to have a robo-taxi service that also used the boring tunnels so you could get around the city faster. That would be really cool.
Do you think the robo-taxi will appear in a tunnel at some point? Will that be the vehicle of choice, or do you think it's not large enough for the volume that the tunnels are currently holding in Las Vegas?
Well, right now the cars can do up to 3 passengers, unless it's the Model X, and assuming that you're not using it for disabled access. So going down to 2 isn't that weird, especially when you consider how much more cargo space you get in the Cybercab for luggage, carry-ons, and the checked baggage. It looks funny, but they didn't make a mistake by making the luggage area so large on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it going from 3 to 2. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't be too much of a loss, but I guess the question it would be convention-wise, they're trying to move as many people as possible. Dropping the car by 50% at some point may not be, or 1/3 by one, might be not advantageous at that point. But I see that as the boring tunnel spreads out, as it has here, it expands with more and more connections. It becomes less and less relevant as long as they keep adding the cars to the network.
Yeah. Also, if they still have to pay full price for the vehicles, then dropping income would pay for 1 extra vehicle per year per driver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to point out here, so for all the people that said, oh, why didn't Tesla just do a train, is you can't just add another stop if it's not along the train route. Where here, you can arbitrarily add any place that wants to join the network and dig a tunnel to that and just have it go to whatever station is nearest. And all of a sudden, boom, they're part of the network. And the network can grow in any random fashion because you just add another tunnel and there's another possible route, and you can do all kinds of smart routing because the cars are driving individually from point to point, which is something that is not possible with the train. When it's the railroads were built out, cities moved around the tracks, not the other way around.
Yep.
I mean, except for the biggest centers. So this gives you so much more flexibility. And as the network grows, Mark, you were just talking about this, then you get the network effect where each spot that adds another one adds more possibility, which makes more people want to join it, and it snowballs.
And you can't get on a stop at the green line and get off a stop at the orange line without getting off your train.
Right. Yeah. Trains are not point to point. Even if you have a great network of them, you still have to transfer, and that can be a pain. And then if you're carrying a bunch of luggage because you're a tourist, well, that's just horrible.
And if it's not enough to run a full train, basically, when they make their schedules, you might end up in between stops if you're going to a less popular stop, like somewhere on the bidirectional tunnel. That would definitely get less trains if they were doing a subway or.
Or they would just tell them, no, you can't join. You're never going to have a high enough volume. Where here, if some hotel or whatever is willing to pay the price for the tunnel, it doesn't matter if it gets used once a year. It's there, and they can use it when it's needed.
Yeah. And I have heard people, speaking of volume, I have heard people talk about the Robovan, or the Robovan, as I like to call it. They some are under the, I believe, misconception that vehicle can fit in the current tunnels.
I mean, it might fit in the hole, but it's not going to be able
to make. But getting stuck in one of those chicanes is not going to help anybody, is it?
Right. We did see the Cybertruck can get through there.
True.
Does the
Robo? It doesn't really matter.
Quad steering and the other part.
I just think it's a bit too high. It's certainly higher than the Cybertruck. Okay. Yes. And the Cybertruck just barely fits in the current tunnel system. I'd be real interested to find out if the Boring Company has put that into their calculations for future tunnels. Does that make, if the Robovan is close to being a reality for people to use, you would think that these tunnels would make a lot of sense to put that vehicle in there, especially in a place like Las Vegas.
But would they though? The only place that they would make sense is on the convention center, because everyone else is going to be going somewhere else.
Correct, but even in the convention center, being able to move 20 people at once within the convention center,
absolutely,
and of course, shuttle to the airport. That makes sense too. There'll be a ton of people going to the airport,
especially with those giant trucks that it's got.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to know if the Boring Company has started to put that into their calculations, or if I'm completely off base and the thing will fit in the tunnels and make the turns now, which I really don't believe so, based on the size that I saw on the during the event in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of changes will happen before it's in production. So you heard it here first. We got the Vegas Robovan party bus coming. You could just rent it for the night. It'll take you wherever. They serve drinks on the bus.
I don't want to say never. I just don't see it being in line with what they're doing to do a lot of them. Yeah.
Well, Patrick, do you think the bus will currently fit in those tunnels?
I don't think they need it. I mean,
I get it. But do you think the current bus would fit in those tunnels?
Probably not. And as we saw, they're twisting and turning, right? They're not just all straight. And I think that's probably where the tunnels were made for cars. And maybe they'll do some smaller van at some point, like we saw in the initial design, where you have 6-8 people on there. But no, I don't think the current what we saw at the Cybercab event, I don't think would fit in the Boring tunnels, but maybe it would.
They do have two sizes. They have the big and the small. So possibly, I don't think that the one that we saw can do it if it doesn't have 4-wheel steering. But if it does, then maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Digital Blade liked my idea. Thank you.
Well, that's a good thing to throw to the audience is, do you think the Robovan should fit in the Las Vegas tunnels? Does it make sense to you? Do you think it should be traveling in high volume areas? Do you think that would make it more advantageous to new places picking it up, like an airport somewhere, or being able to service a high traffic area? Does it make sense? So put that in the comments. Let us know.
It would make sense to me if they have conventions. They have like 4 of them in there, or 2 per convention center stop for the conventions, if it fits. But I don't know anywhere else in the network. Then.
Yeah, but I mean, a few Model X's will get you there fine if you have a large group.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Cyber SUV.
Well, I think we'll move on to shout-outs here. We're 45 minutes in. I've only worked 40 minutes, so I feel a little different. But these two guys have gone the full amount. So, Casey, what do you got for shout-outs for us?
So catch us on Friday and Monday for the Tesla Life Express editions 1 and 2. Catch me and any and friends that show up on youtube.com/Casey Green, x.com at gcustom for Let's Chat with Casey and Friends. That one's at about 1:20 Eastern, sometimes earlier, sometimes a little later. If you like this, you'll like that.
Yep.
Typically, I don't fall into the politics, but this week it was all about solar battery.
This week there was rabbit holes everywhere.
It was a minefield, man. It was a minefield.
Patrick, what do you got for us?
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org, and I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net, where I write about my future free from fossil fuels. This week, I've got a very patriotic article up there about how the U.S. should embrace EVs because it is the future of transportation. And if we don't, other countries will, and then we will be behind on the technology. And I posted this 3 days ago, and I saw this morning the New York Times had an article with very similar content, which I found very interesting.
They copied you.
Totally copied
There's no doubt.
Yep. There's out there
no
reading
doubt.
blogs looking for content. I'm like, oh, that's a good point. I'm just gonna rerun it through Grok and post it out with as my own.
I also wanted to wish those in the Great White North a happy Canada Day past,
that's
which was
right.
yesterday. And of course, I want to wish our American friends a happy Independence Day, which is tomorrow. So we're in between holidays here.
It's Friday.
And we're certainly looking forward to some more fireworks seen tomorrow.
Happy Canada Day, Mark.
Thank you very much. And with that, catch us next time, and together we'll find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Stay positive, test negative.
Thanks for musically.